Dear Saint Joseph, at the word of an angel, you lovingly took Mary into your home. As God's humble servant, you guided the Holy Family on the road to Bethlehem. Welcomed Jesus as your own son in the shelter of a manger, and fled far from your homeland for the safety of both mother and child. We praise God that as their faithful protector, you never hesitated to sacrifice for those entrusted to you. May your example inspire us also to welcome, cherish, and safeguard God's most precious gift of life. Help us to faithfully commit ourselves to the service and defense of human life, especially where it is vulnerable or threatened. Obtain for us the grace to do the will of God in all things. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Spirit. Amen. Well, as always with pro-life work, we begin and end with prayer. That is our special prayer for St. Joseph. And as some of you may have sort of figured out, St. Joseph is really our theme, our focus really this year. He is featured on our Respect Life Month poster in many of our materials as the foster father and protector of the child Jesus in the womb and of all the vulnerable in need of protection. But for those of you who are maybe a little bit new to Respect Life Month, every October, the church celebrates Respect Life Month nationwide. And the USCCB Respect Life office, which Anne and I work for, and Chris as well, we have many materials and resources that you can use to help Catholics in your parish understand and cherish the dignity of every human life in honor of Respect Life Month every October. Of course, the church and the pro-life movement does not limit pro-life evangelization to Respect Life Month and October only. Ideally, we should be respecting life and evangelizing, throughout the year. So the Respect Life Month action guide, which we'll be taking you through today, is one of 6 action guides that we have on our website, which we'll show you, which together will help cover the entire year to help your parish advance dignity of human life with activities and resources that you can use. They're really appropriate to the season that we're in, or the time of year that we're in. Again, this whole year, we do have a special focus on St. Joseph, and a lot of our materials, are influenced by St. Joseph and focus on his special role as foster father and protector and defender of sacredness of human life. So with that, I'm going to give you over to Anne, who will go more into Respect Life Month in depth and all of the things that we have for you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kat. So I just want to show you where the action guides are that Kat was mentioning, and take you through our resources for Respect Life Month and what's available. So if you go to respectlife.org/action-guides, actually, Kat, can you just give me thumbs up if you can see the screens I'm showing? Perfect. Okay. So if you go to respectlife.org/action-guides, you'll be taken to where all the 6 guides are that Kat mentioned. We have one for the anniversary of Roe v. Wade in January, the Solemnity of the Annunciation, typically in March, unless I know that in the past couple of years there've been some variants there. Sunday of Divine Mercy, often in April, Mother's Day, May, Father's Day, June, and then of course what we'll be covering today, Respect Life Month in October. So you just go ahead and click the button for any one of those that you want to visit, and it will take you down to the section of the page where there's just a little bit of an introduction. There's the registration for the webinar. This is where we will put the recording of the webinar once we have it uploaded, and the action guide, which I'll cover in more depth in a little bit. Each action guide has the same basic components. There's a little introduction saying what it is, some simple steps, sample timeline, sample announcements, intercessions, homily helps, and activity. And then down below, there is where we post our supplementary resources. Sometimes in the action guide, it says, go to this website, respectlife.org/action-guides for any additional resources that you'll need. And right here below where it says supplementary resources is where we post those. So just to show you another example, the one immediately above this is the Father's Day action guide. And so the supplementary resources here are the activity, the at-home instructions, the prayer to St. Joseph after the Rosary, and the Litany of St. Joseph. And those were referenced in the action guide itself. And then this is where you can find them. So then if you click on, so the supplementary resources for Respect Life Month are the Respect Life Month page, which is this page right here. And this has all of our Respect Life Month specific resources. So we have some that are a little bit more generic. As you can see here, the Litany of St. Joseph, that's something that we suggest for use during the Father's Day celebration, but it could be used any time of year. This is where we put the things that were designed especially for Respect Life Month. However, they can be used, many of them can also be used any time of year. We just, especially, these are the new things for 2021 Respect Life Month, October. So there's a little, again, there's a little bit of an introduction here at the top of the page. And then these links will take you down to whatever it is you want to see. So if you were interested in registering for the webinar, you could just click that anchor, and then that'll take you all the way down the page. But I'm going to walk you through the page one step at a time. I just wanted to show you that feature just so that you have that in your awareness. So the poster for Respect Life Month, you can order it to have in print. It's $2 a piece. And we do have bulk discounts available. As you can see, it is English on one side and Spanish on the other. And you can also download it as PNG, PDF files. We're happy to provide JPEG or I think that would be the main other one. If you need something different, then feel free to email us at prolife, that's all one word, PROLIFE, at usccb.org. But I just want to show you the poster itself a little bit more closely, just to explain what this is. So the idea behind this poster this year, okay, let me zoom back out. The idea behind the poster is to show the various ways in which throughout his life, St. Joseph really was a model for us and an example of respecting life, caring for life, through his care of the Christ child and of the Blessed Mother. So here we see, the angel came to Joseph in a dream, telling him to take Mary into his home. And so that was kind of, as a result of that, St. Joseph, responded to the Lord's will and welcomed Mary. And, here we have the Nativity. So Joseph seeking shelter for the Blessed Mother, who's, of course, expectant with Jesus. And then the flight to Egypt. So Jesus has now been born. Joseph is leading his family into safety away from Herod. And then this is, just showing, we really love this illustration of St. Joseph sort of embracing the Holy Family, or the Blessed Mother and Jesus. So it's not from a specific scene in his life, more of just representative of their whole family life together. And somebody was saying, oh, Kat, did you need to?
I was probably going to respond to the same thing you were going to respond to.
The font color? Okay, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, we definitely hear your input on the color. One thing we've definitely found is things look very different digitally than they do when they're printed. And so when this is printed, it is probably going to be looking, not probably, it does look darker. The background of the colors do look darker on when they are printed than they do on the screen. In fact, we've had to change things a few times sometimes because things that look great on a screen, when they're printed, it looks very different. So hopefully that will assuage any worries you have about people not being able to read it once it's printed out.
Right. Yeah, no, I've seen it. It does print differently. And we actually have created, I'll show you some graphics in a second, but that were created for digital use. And we kept the same colors, but the way that they are designed, it should still be usable. And if you still continue to have concerns, just contact that email prolife@usccb.org, and we'll do our best to assist you. So for the prayer card basically, again, you can order it by clicking this button here, order, or you can view and download it. Again, you can either in English or in Spanish. And I just want to show you the back of the card. As it loads, the idea behind the prayer was just simply to basically expound a little bit on the poster, what I just explained to you. Verbally, the prayer sort of unpacks that same idea in a prayer format, and then you have the same images on the front of the prayer card. So, you lovingly took Mary into your home, guided the Holy Family on the road to Bethlehem. And then it ends with asking St. Joseph for his own intercession for us to follow his example. So then if you continue down the page, we have the action guide, which I showed you on the other page, and we'll go into more depth in that in a moment. The statement for Respect Life Month usually comes out mid to late September. So this is our opportunity for our chairman, currently Archbishop Naumann of Kansas City and Kansas, to share his thoughts on, Respect Life theme or Respect Life Month in general, as well as this year's specific focus of St. Joseph. Then we have the reflection. So the poster and the prayer card are the only print resources that you can order. Everything else is digital. So we've designed the reflection also to be something that sort of unpacks, expounds upon the poster in a little bit longer format than the prayer. If you click, view and download, we offer it in a variety of options. So we have the nicely laid out PDF that you saw on the other screen, the thumbnail. We have it in both color and grayscale. And then we also just offer the reflection itself as a Word document so that you can copy and paste that into whatever format you need, whether it's a bulletin or an email. So just try to make it as easy as possible. And then if you need it in Spanish, then just click the En Español button up in the upper right corner of any of our resource pages. When it looks like this is our resource library. And you can see we've got the PDF and then the Spanish text. So if something is offered in a different language, the button will be up in the upper right corner here of this resource page. So then continuing on, we have our homily helps. Again, this is just digital. It's a one-page document. Basically, I'll show you a preview of it. If there's only a few different options for the files, we sometimes put the English and Spanish on the same resource page. So if you don't see a button, just check the files below. But I'll show you the English laid out version. So these are written especially for use on Respect Life Sunday, which is the first Sunday of each October. But we didn't tie them to the readings this year, so really you can use them any time of month in October, or frankly any time of year. You would just have to eliminate, references to Respect Life Month. But the idea behind these is they can be used as a composite whole for a priest to just use his whole homily based off of these notes, or he could take one, comment in particular and then work that into his homily. Some priests may prefer to do an entire homily about Respect Life Month or Sunday, and some may prefer to do a little bit more of a integrated reference in something that's more tied to the readings. So for example, in the Bible, we see that St. Joseph makes sacrifices out of his love for Jesus and Mary. Over and over, he shows himself to be a faithful protector of both. And, so then that could, encourage us to, how do we follow that example? How do we seek to reach out to both the mother who is in need of life-affirming options, and how do we, through that love and care of the mother, work for the protection of her child as well. And then these are the graphics that I was talking about. So we have a variety of sizes. You can click the button and you'll be taken to our Respect Life image gallery. Some are specific to Respect Life Month, as you can see. We'll come back to those in a minute. And then some are just the same tagline that was on the poster, St. Joseph, Defender of Life, pray for us. And so that can be used throughout the year. And then we, most of them we used, as you can see, the darker background with the lighter text, although some accents here, still show it. And then with October 2021, but we kept the main text darker for the sake of visibility, and then just showed, a variety. This is kind of the main image that we're working from, because it kind of encompasses so much and it can stand alone a little bit easier than these other images that might be a little bit more confusing out of context of the whole poster. And so these we designed to be used really any way that is helpful to you, but we had in mind bulletin art. Sometimes on the front cover of bulletins, you see artwork. And so we use the dimensions based on what we found from other bulletin publications online. And then, this longer one here, this horizontal one, could be used as an email banner. You could use this on your website. You could use it as a little badge in your email newsletter or in your bulletin. Respectlife.org/celebrate is a website. I can show you it briefly. And it's basically designed, most of what I'm showing you is designed for those such as yourselves who are wanting to help promote Respect Life Month in your parish. This page specifically, respectlife.org/celebrate, is for people in the pews who are just attending Mass, maybe hearing about Respect Life Month for the first time. And you can, sorry, I'm getting distracted by some of the questions coming in. So for those who are just hearing about Respect Life Month for the first time, this is where they can come, where it's more geared towards them. Like, how can they participate in Respect Life Month? So this isn't so much the background work. This is just if they themselves want to reflect a little bit more on St. Joseph. We have the pledge to walk with moms in need, which is a different program that we sponsor. Intercessions that they can use throughout the month of October, maybe with their family, maybe at mealtimes, at bedtime, if they want to learn more about Respect Life topics. So these are some of our top articles. They're formatted as bulletin inserts, so you can keep that sort of in your toolbox for different points throughout the year. And then again, the graphics, so they could download and use these themselves on social media. And then also the options for staying connected with us. So we have accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and then also a variety of email signups, which I think many of you find out about this webinar through that. So that is what, if you can see on my screen here, let me see if I can make it a little bit larger. That is what this URL directs to, respectlife.org/celebrate. Okay, my computer is a little bit slower, so let me just zoom out. And then going back to our Respect Life Month page, again, that's respectlife.org/respect-life-month. We also offer a variety of leaders toolkits. And so basically what we did, I'll take you to where you can see them. We have them for clergy, so priests and deacons, faith formation settings, Catholic education, youth ministry, and Catholic media. And so let me show you Catholic education. So if any of you are teachers or have relationships with either school administrators or teachers in your local area, this is something that they might find useful. They can get to it. If you want to send them directly here, it's respectlife.org/Catholic-education. And basically what we're doing is we compiled all the resources that we thought that they might find useful to use. So it's not necessarily everything that I'm showing you today, but the things that would be most helpful for them. And then we give them ideas of how they might use it. So incorporate the prayer to St. Joseph in your daily classroom prayers. Send a copy of the prayer card home with the students to pray with their families. So those kinds of things. We do have some things that are more for perennial usage. And so those are not highlighted on the Respect Life Month website that I've been walking you through. But they just sort of stay here on this Catholic education page. And so this is a bulletin board activity that is similar to the one in the Respect Life Month action guide, but it's been tweaked a little bit so that it can be used by individual students either together as a group or to send home with them to use with their families. And then again, the graphics. So, suggestions to use them on student worksheets, in presentations, flyers for Respect Life school events, that kind of thing. And all of the toolkits go through the different uses that might be helpful for a particular group of people. So occasionally there are, like I said, some resources that are more specific to that group of people, but often it is just compiling and giving specific ideas suitable for that group. So compiling what we already are showing you. And then down here we have, obviously this is the webinar where people could have registered. And then we also have our catalog, which provides, I can show you very quickly. Basically, it's just up here you have, again, where you can find to order the poster and the prayer card if you want, and then the catalog itself, which is then on a resource page, and then just zoom out a little bit. These are our topics that we cover. We have materials related to pregnancy, abortion healing, biotechnology, end of life, natural family planning. You can use the order form at the front of the catalog, or you could call the toll-free number to order and just tell them the item number and quantity that you want. So we have here again the poster, the prayer card, the link to where all the resources are that we've been going over, and then other publications that have been published over the years. So for example, these are brochures, How to Build a Culture of Life. We have a variety of church documents. I especially want to show you the prayer cards. We have a variety of different prayer cards. Our Prayer for Pregnant Mothers is our newest prayer card, aside from the St. Joseph prayer. And this features a really beautiful image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, where you can see that there's a light inside of her signifying the Christ child. And that is our prayer for walking with moms in need. Which is what is on the respectlife.org/celebrate page. So with that, I think that's it for showing you the online items. So what I'm going to do now is switch over back to our PowerPoint, and I'm going to walk you through this Respect Life Month action guide with all of these different components. So as we mentioned, we have these variety of action guides that can be used throughout the year. Of course, you are always welcome to take any part of them and use it throughout, at a different time. So if you see something in this Respect Life Month action guide that we're going to be going over, but you want to use it in July, that's totally fine. The goal of these is just to provide you with tools that you can use to make your lives a little bit easier. One less thing to try to invent. We don't, want everyone to feel like they have this massive amount of work that they need to do in order to promote the gospel of life in their parish. And so even anything you see within this action guide itself, it's really not meant to be prescriptive. It's just to give you a jumping off point. You are free to use all of it and every single idea. You are free to use none of it, and maybe it gives you an idea to do something different. So it's really just, you are very free. And we just hope that this will be helpful to you. So the goal here is not to overwhelm. It's just to provide things that are ready for you should you want to use them. So as I mentioned before, all of the action guides have the same basic components: the introduction, simple steps, sample timeline, bulletin and pulpit announcements, intercessions, homily helps, and a sample activity. So the introduction basically goes over, okay, what is the occasion that we're going to be working on? So this month, it's Respect Life Month in October. How is it connected to the gift of human life? Well, every October since 1973, I believe, somewhere in the 70s, and has been designated by the U.S. bishops to take a moment to sort of sit back, pause, reflect, educate ourselves, pray. It's a time to really focus on the gift of human life, on human dignity, how we are called to protect our brothers and sisters and stand for the defense of life, and to educate ourselves on the risks so that we can stand for the defense of human life. And then it'll give a little bit of an overview of what's provided within the rest of the pages. So the simple steps are basically the Cliffs Notes to Respect Life Month, or whatever the action guide is focusing on. It gives you sort of an overview of if you don't have time to do the full sample timeline that is coming, what is the next feature in the action guide. Just think about doing one or all of these simpler things. So it could be as simple as displaying the Respect Life poster. So if you don't have the poster, you can order the poster, put it up on your bulletin board. If you don't want to buy the poster, you can download it as an 8.5 by 11 and maybe put that up on the bulletin board if you are limited in space. And then it'll go through and give you different ideas. So for Respect Life Month, they do change a bit from guide to guide, but for the Respect Life Month action guide, the ideas are display the poster. Think about a prominent place where you could hang it up and people will see it. Be aware that if you are putting it on a glass door, sometimes the light shines through in a way that's a little bit unhelpful. And because we have the image on both sides, one in English and one in Spanish, it shines through and it makes it a little bit more difficult to see. So I'd recommend putting it in a place where there's a solid background, like if you've got a bulletin board or a wall or a window of, a room that's not going to have the light on behind it, that type of thing. And then the other idea, number 3, preach about respect for life on Respect Life Sunday or sometime during Respect Life Month. Pray for the protection of human life during the Prayer of the Faithful. We offer some sample intercessions. If you are not, a fan of the specific intercessions in this guide, take a look at our other guides and see if you like the prayer intentions there more. And then the last suggestion, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. One moment. Wow, I really apologize for that. That is, we are still working from home, and that was my apartment. I'm not anticipating anybody. I think it's just somebody trying to get in for somebody else in the building. Really apologize. So back to, we have the prayers of the faithful, and then we have the Respect Life idea to feature a different Respect Life topic in each week's bulletin. You could do the reflection the first week of October that I showed you earlier and just put that in. You could do, we have many other bulletin inserts on our website. So if you go to respectlife.org, look under the tab that says articles, and then just click on any one of the articles, and not all, but most of them have them laid out in the bulletin insert format so that you can just print them right into the bulletin. Or you could print it separately and just leave it on the table in the back for people to take out, on their way out the door. All right, so then moving on to the next piece, we have our sample timeline. And this is what gives you sort of a layout idea. I do have to mention that our sample timeline for Respect Life Month started in early August. However, it is adaptable. I apologize for the timing on this. I recognize it's now pretty much early September. It was just a conflict with staff schedules of when we could get the webinar set up and ready to go. I hope that doesn't cause too much of a problem for you. But again, just to remind you, this is about what is helpful to you. Don't worry about doing everything in here. That's not the goal. The goal is to share the gospel of life in whatever way we can peacefully do so. Peaceful to ourselves, peaceful to others. We're not looking for overwhelm here. That said, I would encourage you to still take a look at the early steps in the sample timeline, simply because those early steps are, just from here, August 1st, early August, and then to the first week of September. What we're encouraging people to do at that point is to connect, just review the materials, connect with your pastor and parish staff, and talk about what you want to do with them. And so even though we're now at the end of August, it's still quite possible to accomplish what has already been recommended for earlier in the month. So then after you connect with your pastor and parish staff to find out what's possible, to find out what you have permission to move forward with, you want to research and gather the materials together for whatever it is that you've chosen to do. Early to mid-September, you can start recruiting your volunteers. If you don't have a parish pro-life group already, I would recommend that you check out the, perhaps Chris or Kat, if you could put into the chat, the link to the Walking with Moms in Need action guide. And within that, there's a suggestion for gathering volunteers when a group does not already exist. It's for the Walking with Moms initiative, but it has good ideas regardless. So it's things like, who is already involved in the parish? Can you invite them to help you with Respect Life ministry? Maybe not even on a long-term basis, maybe just for Respect Life Month. Ask them if they would be willing to help you with this project. Are there people that you see at daily mass regularly? People who might be more willing to help out. Maybe they just, would love to be involved in the parish and just aren't aware of the opportunities that exist. So just think outside the box. If you have, family or friends who are local, ask them to help you out. So it can be also an opportunity for evangelization as well. So then you would, after that, submit your bulletin and pulpit announcements, tie up any loose ends that are needed, reconnect with everyone, make sure everyone has what they need, everyone's on the same page, and then you would set up your display if you were going to be doing a display. So then if you're doing the activity and the display, you would facilitate that, monitor it throughout the month if you're choosing to leave it up during the whole month. If you are doing the activity, I would encourage you to take pictures. Make sure to follow any guidelines as far as if you're planning to, so there are two reasons you would want to take pictures. One would be to document what you've done, and that's most pertinent to this sample timeline so that you can have it as a reference for next year or sometime in the future if you want to do something similar again. Thanks, Kat. I see you're putting the link in the chat for the Walking with Moms action guide. And then, of course, you would clean up and follow up. Be sure to thank everyone. Thank your pastor for giving you permission to do whatever it is you've done. Thank the staff and the volunteers who made it possible. And then share with the community and the celebration that you took part in together. This is where the other reason for the pictures might come into play, where you would need to make sure that you have permission to share their pictures publicly. So it helps to for us at the USCCB, we have to get releases. You could check with your parish or your diocese for their policies. Just make sure that you take a moment to find out what those are before posting people's pictures online, especially if they're minors. Make sure that you follow all safe environment guidelines. Just do whatever is the standard policy. Okay, so then moving on to the next section, we have announcements. So there's a bulletin announcement, and then there are a couple different options for your pulpit announcements, depending on when you are going to be publishing them. So we have one option for Respect Life Sunday, and then we have another for Respect Life Month if you're not able to specifically hone in on that first weekend of October. So basically, this is where you're encouraging people to visit that website I showed you earlier, respectlife.org/celebrate. And these announcements direct to that website so that your people in the pews, your parishioners who are attending Mass, can not only hear about it at Mass, but then can take it one step farther once they get home. And then we have the Intercessions. These can be used for the prayer of the faithful. As I showed you in our toolkits, they can be used in a variety of different ways. Maybe you're a teacher in a Catholic school and you want to use one every day the first week of the month, and explain to your students why you're doing that. They could be used in the bulletin, in parish communications, I know a lot of parishes use Flocknote. If you want to use them at home for your own family, maybe at dinner one night, and a week in October, just remembering the different aspects of what it means to respect life. There's, certainly an emphasis on beginning and end of life issues, especially abortion. The bishops, shared that's their preeminent priority. Certainly end of life with euthanasia, assisted suicide, and, the gamut of issues in between. So it can be a teaching moment for people, for your own children, for your students, for people in the parishes, just across the board. So there's many uses for the intercessions, even beyond liturgical within the Mass itself. And then I already went over the homily help, so I won't spend too much time on this, especially as I see that we're coming up to where we wanted to pause for questions. But again, the homily helps sort of draw out St. Joseph's example. You can use them in their entirety or piecemeal, and like the intercessions, you can use them in places other than the homily. You could use them in Bible studies if you wanted to if you have a monthly or a weekly Bible study and you want to say like, hey, let's just take a minute to reflect on this before we get into the rest of the content. You could use it in small groups. You could use it as the basis for a talk if you wanted to give a talk at your parish or some other setting. So again, these are just ideas to get you started, but please take and run with them. Again, do not feel like you need to use everything, just whatever is helpful. And then here's our sample activity. For October, it's an interactive bulletin board where you're basically inviting members of the parish to contribute to building the bulletin board, so to speak. We do offer, like I showed you in the Catholic Education Kit, an at-home modification. So you could either do a large display on your parish bulletin board, or if you wanted to just give it to people, you could print the directions or email them the directions for families to do on their own at home. And the idea is, I wasn't sure if I had it in here, but the idea is to show people, or maybe not show, but well, yes, to both invite people to consider what are the various ways in which we are called to respect life. It's not just about, some of the obvious things, it's not simply, well, I won't have an abortion myself. It's also, what about the woman who is considering an abortion because she feels she has nowhere to turn? She feels like it's her only option. Like, how can we protect life through helping her, where we don't lose sight of her? We always want to keep a person focused for the baby and the mom. But the reality is that we also do help the baby by helping the mom, so how do we see the people in front of us? Do we have grandparents who are, maybe their health is failing, maybe they're, just declining through old age? How do we serve them and surround them with love and support and accompaniment that continues to reinforce the value of their lives, whatever they may be struggling with? So this bulletin board opportunity invites people to sort of consider those different moments and occasions and opportunities in their life, and then to share that on the bulletin board. Maybe it's a picture of, children and their grandparents, so it's just kind of showing the beauty of that relationship. Maybe it's a prayer request for a friend who has become pregnant in, unexpected or challenging circumstances. It doesn't need to be a crisis pregnancy. Maybe she's just having a hard time and you're praying for her so that, she feels affirmed in embracing her vocation of motherhood. So there are more examples and directions in the guide itself, but I know we're coming up on time here. So anyway, just to wrap up, so the next steps after viewing, I know I've hit you with a lot. The next steps would be just review the available resources, decide what you want to ask permission to implement from your parish, from your pastor and the parish staff, and then connect with the pastor and parish staff to look at what the next steps are from that point. And remember, progress is good. Anything you can do at all is progress. Anything you can do to share the gospel of life. and then really the joyful gift of the joyful message of the gift of life. We're not looking for perfection here. We are just looking for whatever it is that the Lord is calling us to do. So, start, I would say, even before you review the resources. Like after you finish this webinar, just ask the Lord for guidance, ask His Holy Spirit to guide you and to inspire you with His peace, and help you as you review the resources know, where He is leading you. And with that, we are going to move on to questions. Let's get started. Kat, if you are
Sure.
Already looking at questions, please go ahead while I catch up.
Sounds great. So we've had a few questions regarding other initiatives that our office works on. We have all these action guides. We do a lot in addition to Respect Life Month, but two that I think we can immediately give people access to the resources, for those things are related to our pregnancy help, Walking with Moms in Need. Someone asked about, how do I get that started? What, can I do to get that off the ground? I'm going to put a link in the chat to our webinar. We have a webinar just on how to get Walking with Moms in Need started, kind of like the one today, going through all our Walking with Moms in Need website, which is a separate website, and our resources. So I'm going to put that link in the chat. The other link that I will put in the chat is, someone has been asking about our Hyde Amendment. Are we doing anything on the Hyde Amendment? And the answer is, heck yes, we're doing things on the Hyde Amendment. And we would love to get your parish involved in the next few weeks, because it is a crucial time. For those of you who aren't aware, the Senate is looking to basically take the appropriations bill that does not include a ban on taxpayer-funded abortion. So basically, the Senate's going to be voting on whether or not to keep this 45-year bipartisan compromise that our tax dollars won't go to pay for abortion. They're trying to stop that. And so we need as many people as possible contacting their senators saying, we do not want our tax dollars paying for abortion. We want to save millions of lives. Women deserve better than abortion, especially low-income women. So anyway, in order to get access to all of our Hyde Amendment resources that we have, go to this website, notaxpayerabortion.com. We have that. We also have a webinar, which I'll type in the link to the webinar, which explains what we're doing for the Hyde Amendment. And hopefully you can use those resources. We have infographics, we have things to put in bulletins. We have all kinds of resources that you can feel free to use. So that is the answer to that question. And then one other question I saw from a resources perspective, someone was mentioning, or having, obviously a lot of us are aware that, that this is a contentious time for the church on abortion, not only politically, but also in the sense of abortion and communion, and how that political aspect of abortion has been in the public eye. One resource that I find really helpful on abortion and communion for people who are like, what do I do with pastors or bishops who aren't, not sure what they think about this issue. We have an article written by our chairman, Archbishop Naumann, called A Concern for Catholics in Public Life, which goes in detail as a bishop how he responds to abortion and communion. So for anyone interested in any of those resources, I'll be putting them in the chat so you can have access to them. And then, and I think we have several questions that are more resource access specific, so I'll leave you to answer those.
So a lot of people are saying that the printed poster and prayer cards are sold out. Wow, I did not, that must have been fairly recent. I am really sorry about that. So let me, if you go to, okay, I'm going to put a link in the chat for our catalog. And if you call the number, you can actually order it by calling a toll-free number. I'll try to make sure that they're available to order online as quickly as possible, because I know that is more convenient. However, I'm going to put a link in the chat for the catalog, and what you can do is call that toll-free number or use the order if you prefer, and they should still have stock available for you. So I'm just getting that. Okay, so here's the link to the catalog, and then that number is 866, and I'll put this in the chat too, 866 5820943. So that's the number you would want to call and just tell them that you want to be ordering the poster. It's the same price. It's just that we offer the online option as well to try to make that a little bit easier, although now really not easier because they're out of stock. So we'll try to get that remedied, but in the meantime, you are still able to order it. Somebody was asking how big the poster is. It is 17 inches across and 22 inches tall. I'm unaware of examples of how the poster has been used in the past. If anybody else has any ideas beyond simply posting it on the bulletin board or somewhere in the parish or school, please feel free to share that in the chat, or you can email us separately at prolife@usccb.org, and I'm putting that in there also, because we are always looking for ideas that we can share with others. All right, let's see here. Next question. Do we give these to priests? Are they open to that? As to whether they're open, it really does depend on the priest. I would say probably the first thing to do would be to check and see if your parish has a pro-life coordinator and talk to them first, because then they'll have a good idea of what the relationship might already exist, and their openness. If you don't already have a group, then yeah, I would say it can't hurt. Ask for a meeting with the pastor and let him know that there are a lot of things available. And share with him what is available. And we actually, we do have. Let me just see if I can remember where that is. I want to say it's in the action guides. There actually is. Kat, if you want to look through the questions and see if there's anything else you can remember or anything else you can answer, because I want to put a link in the chat for homily considerations when you're talking about abortion, because that might make some priests who are a little uncomfortable with the topic. It might help sort of ease that. And
one other, sorry.
Yeah, just help them know some things to keep in mind. It might help them be more comfortable dealing with that topic.
Absolutely. And one other thing we recommend a lot of priests, first of all, issue advocacy for those who are wondering whether or not it's okay to do Hyde Amendment things in the church. And issue advocacy is allowed, by the Catholic Church. In fact, it's encouraged, and it's a part of our duty as Catholics and citizens to advocate for policies that respect human life. However, we recognize a lot of priests aren't necessarily comfortable talking about politics within the church, and it's not always easy to convince them that this is something that they should be comfortable with. We can try to do that through the materials Anne is presenting, which can kind of, if they're just shy and not really sure of how to talk about it, give them an idea of how to talk about it. But if there's more resistance on like a philosophical level of I just don't feel comfortable talking about a hot button issue, one way that we found really effective to get some pro-life messaging into the parishes is through walking with moms in need. We found that often has been a bridge, like when we do pregnancy care, to talking about what women should receive, right, when they are pregnant, when they're in need, and making that kind of like the little wedge that kind of gets us in to parishes where there's more maybe outright resistance to talking about abortion. So there are a lot of options and ways you can go about this depending on your priest. I would definitely, start with offering the homily helps that Anne is going to send specifically about talking about abortion, because that's often why a lot of, male celibate priests aren't comfortable always going there, and sometimes they need a little encouragement on how to do that charitably and effectively. But for the priests who really do not want to talk about abortion, walking with moms in need is usually a great way to have the conversation about pregnancy and the church's teaching on the value of every human life, getting that in the parish.
Thanks, Kat. So I put a link in the chat, and I was a little mistaken in my memory of what it was, but it's actually a resource, homily considerations regarding healing after abortion. However, I would say that it is still helpful, just as general points to consider, to be aware of whenever you're talking about abortion from the pulpit. Okay, somebody is asking, oh shoot, we are at 1 o'clock. Okay, so I'm gonna say, Kat, do you have a couple minutes to keep answering questions? Okay, so I could read your lips. So for those of you who do need to go, again, please feel free, don't feel like you're being rude. If you need to go, that's totally fine, but I know that there are a lot of questions, so I just we'll keep this open for a few more minutes if people want to ask. If you need to go ahead, but in the meantime, we're going to answer a few more questions. Okay, somebody is asking, do you recommend limiting items on a pro-life tables? How much is too much? I don't have a specific like, oh, only 3 or only 10 or nothing like that. But I would say from my own experience doing tables at conferences, you don't want to overwhelm people. I have made that mistake way too much because I just want to get out all really awesome information, but then you run the risk of your table then looking very overwhelming and very text heavy. And so if you're able to do kind of like something with visual height is helpful. If you have a trifold, we actually have, I will put this in the email. We're going to do a follow-up email to send everyone the recording. And I will do I don't want to waste everyone's time looking for the link right now, but we do have suggestions for how to do a Respect Life display apart from the bulletin board, where it's actually if you're doing a table, and how to make that look visually appealing. So I would say don't, like, off the top of my head, don't overload it with resources. Focus on the few that you really want to emphasize and make sure that there's enough space between them that it doesn't look really crowded. And then aside from that, I'll send the email to where you can get more specific ideas of how to do a cost-effective table display.
Someone asked about whether we have bulletin inserts or educational material on Hide on the booklet materials presented today. Melissa, I'm going to type in the chat. We have a Respect Life page just on no taxpayer abortion resources. That's probably more what you want to use specifically for Hide. A lot of our Respect Life Month materials, having been created months in advance, are more, I don't want to say general, they include specific information on abortion, but they're not usually as policy specific because you want things to be up to the minute and accurate. So the most up to the minute accurate parish resources that we have for bulletins and other things for parishes, flyers, that kind of stuff, petitions, we have that on this site, which I'm typing into the chat right now.
Oh man, this is killing me. I know there are questions that we're not going to be able to get to, but they're all so good. Maybe we can even just do a separate, I know, we'll think about how we can be helpful. Okay, so I want to get back to somebody's asking, we use Flocknote, which does not support PDF. Are these images also available in JPEG? And I'm going to combine that question with another one. Somebody is wanting to know if the images are available to use as stickers. So we ourselves have not created any stickers. However, we'd be happy to share the artwork with you. I would say to just email prolife@usccb.org if you have any questions on that. We are more flexible in our artwork this year because we didn't use any licensed material. Sometimes there are inhibitions on or restrictions on what we can do. So we have a lot more flexibility with the artwork this year than previous years. So just email prolife at usccb.org and we'll do what we can to help you. And then the same question, or the same answer would apply to, similar answer to the Flocknote question. Are these images also available in JPEG? I actually am not sure off the top of my head. I think we usually do PNG, but we're more than happy to provide JPEG. So if you see anything that is not provided, we really want to help as much as possible. So basically the answer across the board is, if you look on our website and you still can't find what you need, just email prolife@usccb.org. Okay. Let's see here. Maria Martinez, you were talking about what the dioceses sent to parishes that from here. If you just briefly, we would have sent the poster, the prayer cards, and a cover letter from Archbishop Naumann. If your diocese ordered, so for those who aren't sure what I'm talking about, sometimes dioceses order materials for their parishes. And so if you have any more questions about that, Maria, feel free to email me. If you have not received materials and you're not sure whether your diocese ordered anything, then I would suggest contacting your diocesan Respect Life director. And Chris, if you could find and put that link in the chat, we have a directory for those of you who aren't sure who that is. So Chris, if you could put in the chat our directory for diocesan Respect Life directors.
I don't know if we got to this one. Someone was asking about images of the elderly and respect for life at the end of life. I know that Respect Life Month, a lot of what we've seen has been more focused on, the St. Joseph, but I do know that we have some action guides, and even our upcoming Pray for Life for November will be focused on the elderly, person with disabilities, and have more variety. So where should we send them for those images, and or for more information on end of life care and graphics and things like that? Would that be the November guide? Would that be the because I know we have them. I'm just trying to
We don't have a November action guide. We have done articles in the past on end of life topics, and we have sometimes produced graphics to go along with those. The problem is that when our website transferred over, that image library, the formatting got really messed up. So eventually we want to be able to provide those again, but right now it's just the website's kind of we're still working on fixing that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I would say look in, I'm going to put a link in chat for the Word of Life. We have a monthly publication called Word of Life, and it's for parishes, and it gives prayers of the faithful, and we have graphics at the end of each issue. So I would say look in the archive, and I just put that link in the chat for the Word of Life archive, and look in the November issues, because I imagine that we probably put our end of life graphics in there, and that'll be easier to find than on our very badly formatted, messed up web page for the image gallery. Okay, I think we're getting to the point where we're probably I have to accept that we're not going to be able to answer everybody. We'll look through the answers and see if it's possible to do a follow-up email with staff availability and scheduling. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that or not, but if you have questions that were not answered, feel free to email us at prolife@usccb.org. I do just want to make one last mention. We have one other question. I'm looking for more youth ministry night ideas for a presentation. Any good ideas? We do have a youth ministry focused resource that might be helpful to you. So I'll include that in the link or that link when we send out the follow-up email with the recording. Okay, I think that is it for now. Kat, do you want to go ahead and close us with prayer?
Sure. I'll just close this with a glory be and an Archangel Michael prayer for our pro-life warriors. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, for the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Saint Joseph, defender of life, pray for us. In the Father, and of the Son.
All right. Thank you all so much for attending. We hope this is helpful. Spread the word. We have other webinars for our other action guides already on that website. And I'm sure we'll be doing more, so stay tuned.